Imagine finishing a long night shift, pockets empty, mind tired, and stopping at an ATM with nothing to lose. That's exactly where Dan Saunders, an Australian bartender, found himself one ordinary night. He had just clocked out from work, the bar quiet and dim behind him, when he decided to check his balance, even though he already knew it was zero. Rent was due, bills were stacking up, and money was a constant worry. When the ATM confirmed he had no funds available, Dan did something almost without thinking. He tried to withdraw a small amount anyway. To his shock, the machine whirred and dispensed cash. At first, he assumed it was a glitch that would immediately correct itself. He checked his balance again. Still zero. No overdraft notice, no warning, no negative balance. Confused, curious, and standing alone in the quiet street, Dan walked away with the money, not fully understanding what had just happened, but knowing something was very wrong. Over the next few days, that confusion turned into temptation. Dan returned to the same ATM, testing the limits of the error, withdrawing larger and larger amounts of money that technically didn't exist in his account. Each time, the machine complied, silently handing over cash with no consequences, at least none he could see. At first, he told himself it was temporary, that the bank would fix the mistake and take the money back, or that he would stop after one more withdrawal. But easy money has a way of silencing doubt. Soon, Dan was living a version of life he'd never experienced before. He paid off debts that had weighed on him for years, bought expensive clothes, treated friends, stayed in luxury hotels, and spent freely, all while convincing himself he hadn't robbed anyone in the traditional sense. After all, he hadn't broken into the ATM or threatened anyone. He had simply pressed buttons and accepted what the machine gave him. As the days passed, the excitement began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of unease. Dan knew banks didn't just lose money and forget about it. Every transaction leaves a trail, and every system error eventually gets noticed. That fear became real when news reports surfaced about a major ATM system glitch under investigation. Suddenly, the invisible safety net Dan believed he had vanished. The money that once felt like freedom now felt like evidence. Every knock at the door made his heart race. Every passing police car felt personal. He knew the moment was coming. He just didn't know when. That moment arrived sooner than he hoped. Police showed up at his door and asked him to answer questions about the withdrawal. Dan didn't run, and he didn't deny what he had done. In the interview room, he admitted he knew the money wasn't his, and that while he hadn't forced the machine to give it to him, he had willingly taken advantage of the error. He explained how it started as curiosity and quickly spiraled into something he couldn't control. The officers made it clear that exploiting a system mistake was still theft under the law, no matter how easy or tempting it seemed. When Dan stood before a judge, the reality of his actions finally settled in. The court acknowledged that he hadn't committed a violent robbery, but intent mattered. He knowingly withdrew money that didn't belong to him and continued even after realizing it was a mistake. The judge ruled that a technical glitch didn't make the money legal, and consequences followed. Dan was sentenced, and just like that, the luxury, the cash, and the illusion of control disappeared. In prison, surrounded by silence and routine, Dan had nothing but time to think. The stacks of money that once covered his bed were gone, replaced by bare walls and regret. What began as a harmless decision at an ATM turned into a lesson about temptation, accountability, and how quickly a single choice can change a life. Dan Saunders' story isn't just about a bank glitch. It's about how easy it is to cross a line when the opportunity presents itself, and how difficult it is to undo the damage once that line is crossed.